Hey guys, Dread here. Thank you to Dark Lit Voices on Twitter or X for letting me narrate their story, and all of the support on my channel. You can find their channel, Dark Little Voices, on YouTube. Without further ado, let's begin. I met the man who sold the world. I was a manager at a major retail store for 13 out of the 15 years that I've worked here. It started as any other shift would. I assigned people to parts of the store that needed work, organized them the best that I could, helped where I could, and did everything else that I had to, despite the fact that I was supposed to let the new managers take the reins. To be fair, I only helped them get started. After that, I took it easy, still offering to help where I could from time to time as I walked around the store. The reason that they were supposed to do most of the work tonight, after the store closed for the evening, was that I no longer had to cover a supervisor or team lead shift as much as I had to for the last 5 years whenever they were on vacation. They obviously needed to be certified in all required management areas first, and tonight was supposed to be their final test for the certifications. I was about to take some pallets out back to be collected by the forklift and piled up later when one of my maintenance people came up to me. At first, I thought he wanted to talk about something work related, but ended up starting a conversation that took an unusual turn. One that I regret having with him, but it became a necessary evil, as one would put it. Hey Sarah, are you doing okay? Yeah, just surviving, I said with a small chuckle, as I tried to do what we all did, make light of the fact that none of us wanted to be here. I feel you there. We began talking about how I was grateful that soon I wouldn't have to always cover a supervisor shift because they went on vacation due to the lack of coverage. I still reassured Bill that even though I was going to take it easy tonight, if he had any questions, I would still be around to answer. I didn't want him, or anyone else, to feel that I would let authority get to my head. He looked at me with an all too familiar tired smile and said, You know, I'm happy for you. You really are one of the best managers I've ever worked for. I thanked him as he gave me his usual tired nod. The conversation was dying out when he took me off guard by something he said. You know what I used to love? The orange glow of the moon. I was trying to be respectful and let him continue talking. It wasn't like I could leave work any sooner anyway, and I was already about to be ahead of schedule. What made you stop? I have not the slightest clue why I asked. Perhaps to be nice? Or maybe some small part of me really did want to know. I still do love it. Just reminds me of a bad moment in my life. Not that it'll matter much anymore. I felt guilty seeing Bill's smile fade away slowly, but I really didn't have a clue what he meant by what he said. Again, I don't know why I asked him, but I asked, What makes you so sure of that? Bill and I had worked together for the last 5 years. The man was taller than me, with a bit of a dad bod. From time to time, we did randomly chat about various things, but nothing too personal. Not for the lack of trying, but I did try to respect his privacy. He was a mostly quiet man who worked harder than his direct supervisor, Marcus. So, I was pleasantly surprised that he felt comfortable trying to open up to me after all this time. At least, at first. Maybe if I met more people like you, my worldview wouldn't have grown so dark. It was sweet, but left a sense of nervousness within me. It was then that something distracted me. It sounded like the wheels to one of the carts that we used to move items around the store with, but when I looked, there was neither a cart or Bill around. In fact, the store felt empty. I couldn't explain it, but I felt like I was alone. I put on some random audiobook to distract my mind long enough to get the pallets out, but something was either wrong with the signal or my headphones gave out. As I came back inside, after getting the pallets out the door out back, a strange headache hit me hard. I shut and locked the door leading out of the store, and my headache stopped. What on earth was that about? I said, as I struggled to regain my senses. I figured that I would just get a cup of water and sit in the break room. Maybe I didn't get enough water on such a hot day. As I began to walk to the break room, the sudden uneasiness hit me again. I took a drink of water and sat at one of the tables. My eyes grew heavy, and I rested my head on one of the white, circular tables. I'm not sure how long I was asleep for. I had only meant to close my eyes for a moment when I felt someone tapping on my shoulder. Then, trying to shake me to wake up, groggily, I slowly looked up and saw Bill. Sorry, boss. I gotta clean the tables. How long was I asleep? I asked as I tried to clean myself off with a paper towel that Bill handed to me. Depends on your definition of asleep, I guess. I got up slowly as Bill went to work on cleaning the table. That's when I realized that there was a huge, gaping hole in Bill's right hand. Oh my god, Bill, what happened to your hand? We've been working all this time, and now you notice? I thought he would be upset by this, and yet he gave me that same tired smile that he always gave. Normally, his tired smile wouldn't have any meaning behind it, other than he was tired all the time. But in that moment, when I couldn't even hear the humming of the refrigerators, the electricity running through the building, or that stupid, repetitive store advertisement over the intercom, it felt like I was trapped in a horror movie. A horror movie standoff with a man a few years older than me, and me in a place that I hated more than anything. I could have ran out the other door or fought back. God only knows the ADD training video kept replaying in my head over and over, but Bill's cold, dead stare kept me frozen in place. I was visibly scared as I began planning out my escape. Are you okay? He looked confused as he didn't move a muscle. Sarah, I'm not going to hurt you, he said with a chuckle. I slowly made my way to the door that led into the hallway. I figured that at the very least, I could make it to the manager's office and call for help. Bill followed my movement with just his eyes. Go on then. There's no place for you to go. There hasn't been for a very long time. He put on some gloves and began to clean the break room as if everything he said was meaningless. What? What do you mean? I said, as fear crept up my throat. To be honest, I thought you died alone, a long time ago. Me? Not me. Maybe you. But I'm still very much alive, I corrected him. I was beginning to think that I was either in a nightmare of some sort, or that I was somehow talking to a ghost. Bill stopped cleaning and then sat down. He looked up at me, and I felt very uncomfortable. My mind kept screaming for me to run, but my body wouldn't respond. You really don't get what's going on, do you, boss? 5 long years, and I thought something would have clicked. Tell me, when was the last time you remember going home? He folded his hands and leaned forward in his seat. I started to reflect on Bill's question. Do you remember when you got in your car? Perhaps drove somewhere? What about your home? When was the last time you drove home, Sarah? I wanted to tell him off, but as I pictured my apartment, my things there, and the leftovers that I was looking forward to, I couldn't remember leaving this place. I couldn't remember the last time that I was in my car, the last time I drove home, or even driving to work in the first place. My headache hit me again, as it felt like my mind struggled to put the pieces together. I wanted this to just be a bad dream. I started hoping that I would just wake up in my own bed when Bill continued speaking. You've got a lot of questions, and a lot of time on your. Did you drug me? I interrupted him as I had to sit down. No. Your mind and soul are fighting to process everything that happened 5 years ago. Your mind doesn't want you to know because it could send you into shock, but your soul wants you to fight back long enough to figure it out for yourself. They're both clinging to false hope that this is all just a dream, but they know it isn't. They remember everything that led up to this, and they both know why I'm really here. Flashes of a roaring flame quickly approaching me played violently in my mind. I could hear people screaming for a few seconds before the sound burned away. The pain from my headache hit so hard that I shut my eyes tightly as I grabbed my head like it would have stopped it from splitting open somehow. Tears streamed down my eyes as I began to whimper. I could feel Bill walking closer to me. The crackling of flames followed him. You're only remembering pieces of what happened. Allow me to. Don't touch me! Parts of Bill were fading away, but he didn't grow angry or acted as though it hurt him. Instead, he gave that now haunting, tired smile that I quickly grew to hate. That's it. Continue to push me away. I want to be free from this ungodly torture. And then it clicked. It all hit me at once. 5 years ago, Bill and I talked about the moon. He said he gave a part of him in order to sell the world to the moon. I thought it was a joke until he showed me a large, circular wound in the middle of his right hand. I freaked out and was about to call the emergency services when he stopped me and said, "No one will be able to answer your call, Sarah. We are the last ones alive. Soon, the world will be no more." I was supposed to continue the cycle of life for this world, punish the guilty, and avenge the innocent. I tried to run away, but as I turned around, there he was, admiring the hole in his hand like some sort of morbid trophy. There were more of us, of course. We kept protecting this world with everything that we had, as our predecessors did before us. What are you? I demanded sharply, as my back was now pressed against a stack of pallets. He slowly looked at me, standing as still as a statue as he spoke. One of the guardians of this world. I was not the leader of the guardians, but as you can see, their power is no longer equal to mine. I suddenly saw my coworkers running for cover. Some of them screamed in agony as they started to catch fire. Bill, too, started to catch fire. But unlike the others, he didn't scream, he didn't run, or even try to pat out the fire. He just stood there, with that soft little smile on his face. "Oh, great heavens!" was all that I could muster, as one by one, people started to drop dead throughout the store. I realized I didn't need them. The sprinklers went off, but it was pointless. Even if we were linked, I could sell this world. Why would you do this? Because lifetime after lifetime, I really did try to grant this miserable race, the human race, a chance to change, a chance to do better. But you miserable creatures only wanted war, to become superior to others who were different from you, to destroy the very thing I swore millions, if not trillions of years ago, to protect. We are not all like this. I'm well aware, boss. But the truth is, I'm sick of it. My fellow guardians are doing everything they can to stop me, but they're too late. Their power isn't enough anymore. The blood moon will take most of us. The shock will erase your memory, as your mind will battle your soul over this information. But I won't be here. Not anymore. Bullcrap! If any of this is true, you and the others should try to help us, not end us. I spoke through tears that faded into steam. Goodbye, Sarah. Maybe you, and whoever's left, will do a better job. He smiled before the last of his flesh burned away. A massive flame burned over my head, but I didn't feel anything. I could feel the flames and hear its loud roar as it seemed to ignore me. Then everything went black. Yeah, boss, that it did. Then why are you still here? He smirked as he looked toward me. Because you haven't been able to let me go. The way you kept holding on to me in your memories was sweet, boss, but you and I both know that I'm not really here. At least, not anymore. I shook my head and went to look at him with daggers in my eyes, a fury stronger than the flames that took everything away from me. But when I faced him, both he and the store were gone. Everything looked as though it had been gone for years, and I just woke up to it all. Somehow, I didn't lose control in the dark, cold, and empty world. Then again, I suppose I never did lose control in the first place. It wasn't as if I had a chance to lose my cool. Even if I did, apparently, much like Bill did, my mind decided to shield me for the last 5 years by erasing my memory of everything that had happened that night. I guess, even after all this time, had Bill never revealed himself, I wouldn't have been able to process that I had somehow survived in the ashes of this world. I still don't know why he chose to save me and not the others. Perhaps it was because of the fact that I was one of the good ones, as he put it. Or perhaps I was just at the right place at the right time. I can feel the moon somehow glowing on my skin, and I'm honestly scared of what will happen next. Will I burn as everyone else did? Will I suffer worse than they did? Or will I even somehow be so lucky to find someone else who survived? I know this for sure. I don't want to die alone, even if it feels like I did a long, long time ago. Who knows? Maybe I'll get lucky and find a guardian of this world that was now in ruins. If somehow someone finds this, just know that I'm sorry. I had no idea that 5 years ago I was face to face with the man who sold the world. Well, you've reached the end. It has been nice talking to you, my friend. Are you going to view once more, or see what else I have in store?